To the Point with Kelly Dunn and Michael Williams.
Together, we will build an America where hope is a new job with a paycheck, not a faded word and an old bumper sticker.
It is now clear that this will be a two-person race between the conservative leader, Newt Gingrich, and the Massachusetts moderate.
There's one message that I think we got from the campaign in Florida, is that Republicans can do better. Yes. We can do better than we can do better than the discussion and the dialogue and the accusations that were going on in the state of Florida, and really this campaign, went downhill.
The bruising fight in Florida is over for Republicans, but will they be ready to win in November?
Thank you very much.
Good morning and welcome to the Point. 4 years after Barack Obama carried this crucial state on the road to the White House, what will the Republicans have to do to try and swing it back?
We have just the person to ask today. Our guest is Sid Dinerstein, the Republican Party chairman in Palm Beach County. And we thank you, Sid, very much for coming in. But before we get started, we want to take a look at what a well-known Florida Republican said about the Republican primary.
It has somewhat degenerated into a very ugly food fight, and I think some people are starting to get very tired of it, and hopefully they can get back to discussing the issues.
So he calls it ugly, and Rick Santorum, as you just heard just a few moments ago, saying the campaign went downhill. So talk about this and compare this to other Republican primaries in Florida. How bad was this one?
Oh, this is great stuff. This is what America is all about. You get out there and you don't leave anything on the table, and you say what you think you ought to say, and you trust the public to sort it out. The fascinating thing about this set of primaries is the party leaders like me and media people like you all have less power, because all these debates and commercials went right to the people in their homes, and they got to make up their minds without us helping. And this is a great thing. And you know what? They all went out Tuesday night, and they appear to have gotten it right. And I was not a Romney supporter, but they weighed all the pros, the cons, and everything, and they picked the next president of the United States of America.
You support who?
I now support Romney only because the primaries, for all practical purposes, are over.
Well, let's go to that point. Our junior senator, Marco Rubio, so well thought of in Republican circles, said on Tuesday, I think that whoever wins Florida is likely to go on and be the nominee. Do you share that view, that Mitt Romney is likely to go on that?
We just elected the next president of the United States.
Oh, that's
and there's nothing that Newt Gingrich or Barack Obama can do about it, because both have their records to run on. And the voters of Florida rejected the Newt Gingrich record for whatever reasons, because I'm a big fan of Newt, and he was our dinner speaker the other night. And the voters in America have been rejecting Barack Obama for the last 2 years for all the right reasons, because at the end of the day, we vote for our children and our grandchildren, and not for people who get up on television and say some Americans should hate other Americans. It's not who we are, and it's not what we're going to do for another 4 years.
I'd be surprised if the Republican Party chair in Palm Beach County did not just say that. Nonetheless, Mitt Romney's reeling. Last week he made a comment that's getting wide-playing criticism, including from some of his fellow Republicans, saying, I don't care about the very poor. He amended that quickly to say what I meant. The totality of the statement was, because they already have a social safety net, the rich, of course, are fine. I care about concentrating on the middle class. Did he really stick his foot in the mouth? And is it one more example where Democrats will say, see, this is about people who only care about their own and don't care about the totality of America? You can see Democrats teeing up that soundbite for the rest of the year.
I don't think there's much the Democrats can do, to be quite honest with you. They can tee up whatever soundbites they want. They're going to be stuck with Obama's record. He put $6 trillion of debt in 4 years on our children's heads. And there's no way that he can talk himself out of that. Mitt Romney's statement was a clear statement. His campaign is not about the poorest of the poor, and it's not about the richest of the rich. It's about the middle class. If one wants to disagree, then let them disagree. But it was just a fine statement for those of us who actually read the whole sentences. Right. And it's a little unfair when media people, present company excluded,
we knew that may not say.
Take the first sentence of a paragraph, right, and deliberately chop off
After
the rest
first
of the
5
paragraph.
seconds.
But some of the middle class care about the very poor as well. So that's not isolating some of the people he's targeting, that he's trying to help the most. I mean, you don't think that kind of goes hand in hand, that the very poor affect the middle class and the upper class?
It's
Some
more the other
Republicans
way
said
around.
it sounded
Barack
callous.
Obama has ripped the soul out of America. The middle class are the ones who used to start businesses. They don't anymore. They're on food stamps. They can't start a business. Obamacare will make sure they'll put them out of business. And if they manage to survive Obamacare, they'll have double the price of their energy bills thanks to this president. And if they manage to survive all of that and start achieving the American dream, this president has promised to marginalize them, get everybody to hate them, and to take all the money they made.
But listen, everybody, that statement acts as though politics only began in 2008. It ignores the fact that the deficit was doubled from 2000 to 2008 under a Republican administration. It ignores the fact that many argue the foreclosure crisis can be blamed on administrations Republican and Democrat, and that this president, whatever people may think of him, inherited a big fat mess that Republicans are at least partially, and some argue more than partially, responsible for.
Well, I won't argue how much one is and one isn't. I will agree with your statement that this president...
Well, not my statement. It's what you read and hear from
I
analysts.
would agree with the concept that this president inherited a mess. Like Ronald Reagan inherited a mess. I remember how scared we all were. And this president has proven to everybody, regardless of your political leanings, that he's simply not capable of making it better. And in fact, chose only those policies that made it worse. Did exactly the opposite of Ronald Reagan, who reduced regulation, reduced taxation, and freed up the spirits of the American public to create millions of jobs. Here is a man who has sucked the energy out of the American public and only wants jobs that he controls. Autos, health, Wall Street. He's literally made himself the CEO of all those businesses to the detriment of all of us. And when they all fail, like Volts and Solandras, Barack Obama doesn't lose out of his pocket, but everybody in this country and everybody's children and grandchildren lose out of their pocket.
But even with the economy and the desperate state it is, why did fewer Republicans turn out to vote? Not only in Palm Beach County, but across the state. Why weren't more out there saying, okay, that's not the way we want to go, we want this direction?
You know, I can't believe the media keeps asking that. So let's answer the question in a way that they don't want to hear, I guess. 4 years ago, Proposition 1 was on the ballot. Not only was on a ballot, Governor Christ and his supporters, he was popular at the time, spent a huge amount of money to turn us all out to vote for a tax cut. Palm Beach County voted 64% for Proposition 1. The state voted 62%. It needed 60. So that was the bump up. Having said that...
So this was a typical turnout. This is what you would have expected.
Well, if you take away the Proposition 1, my point is if the media wants to be analogous, they literally have to go back to 2000, the Bush-McCain primaries, and look at those turnouts.
You're saying other issues beyond the primary itself drove turnout.
Listen, every measure of the enthusiasm gap is like, we can't wait to vote in November.
What does it say about Tea Party strength? Newt Gingrich did well in the north and western panhandle part of the state among evangelicals. Tea Party, although Romney really, Gingrich bested him, but it was a near tie. Is the Tea Party's influence waning somewhat, or is it just the particular diversity and geography of this state?
Newt Gingrich lost women by 20 points.
Big gender gap.
You don't have to know much more than that. One could decide that that's fair, unfair, or whatever you want. But when you lose women by 20 points, all the other stuff is very secondary.
Why do you think that happened?
I think that, first off, Republican women are different than Democratic women. When Democratic women have a serial, I don't want to use too harsh a word, but a person like Bill Clinton, who spent his entire adult life humiliating his wife publicly. Democratic women don't care as long as he agrees with them on issues. Republican women care. And this was an issue that too many of them were unwilling to get past. And I'm not a Republican woman.
I think it's a broad statement. I mean,
it is a broad statement, but the gender gap was a real
This is true.
thing.
More than 600,000 Republican voters cast their ballots before the election by absentee or early voting. So are things going to change in the way that you accommodate this come the general election? Is that good? You know, does it make any difference?
It made a difference in 2010 in that we, Republicans, were so anxious to vote that we all voted early. We will in 2012, just like 2010, even here in Palm Beach County, where they get to vote by elevator and we get to vote by car. Even here, we will, our turnout will be higher than the Democrats as it was in 2010. And our energy and intensity will be extraordinary. And Florida, I hate to say this, will not be a battleground state because the polling will show that Governor Romney will be probably double digits ahead of President Obama.
Well, you're such a shrinking violet on these issues. We're going to make sure, I would say to our viewers, that through the course of the year we'll be having your opposite number in the Democratic Party chair. In fact, we should get you both together. We'll expand it to 2 hours. I think it'll take that long. One last quick question. Big debate. Newt Gingrich says, I want proportional delegation. In other words, I got 32% of the vote. Florida, because it moved up its primary before April 1st, should have given me my proportional share. Instead, Romney winner take all. Will delegates in Florida stay winner take all for Romney in your mind?
In Florida, we have a legislature, and they pass laws, not all that all of us agree with, and winner take all was a law that they passed.
And that'll stick.
And that'll stick because it's and the National Party, who wants proportional, said their legislator passed the law. The fact is, I believe we're the only winner take all, and it's the reason why all the other Republicans should go home, endorse Governor Romney, and allow us to get to the main event without wasting more money and without doing any more negative attacks. We're ready to take on Barack Obama and his 40 czars and send them all into early retirement and give this country back to our children and grandchildren.
Sid, thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
We need more energy.
Yeah,
I do,
exactly.
I do.
Or less coffee. I don't know.
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee.
You've told me that
Seriously.
before.
Thank you for your
very
perspective.
much. Yes.
You guys, I love doing this show.
All right, still to come. We are looking forward to fun in this political year. Coming up next, our roundtable takes a look at the big shakeup in local politics as well. Now for our roundtable with News Channel 5 political analyst and coordinator of the American Studies program at Lynn University, Dr. Robert Watson, and Brian Crowley, author of CrowleyPoliticalReport.com. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sid Dinerstein, no shrinking violet, as we said about his views about what the Florida primary meant. He's essentially saying everybody should fold their tents and go home, get behind Romney. Your take on what you heard Sid say today?
Well, I think we were mentioning this a moment ago off camera. I think this is happening nationally with the Republican Party. The Republicans, for the last half century, quite frankly, have done a good job of circling the wagons, anointing someone, and trying to prevent a bloody primary. This primary was a bloodbath here in Florida, so it's in their best interest. So I think he's simply saying publicly what everybody else is doing privately.
Oh, absolutely. I think Robert's right. And I think that, especially the money men in this campaign, which we certainly saw in Florida, is of vital interest to winning these elections. They're looking, I think they got some good news out of watching Mitt Romney in this race, not just because he won, but when you looked at his last two debate performances, especially the last one in Jacksonville, he was very strong. He was everything that Republicans were worried that he was not. And I think they can now look at Romney and say, this guy can confront Obama in a debate and do a really good job. And equally important, his campaign machine came together. They threw the kitchen sink at Newt Gingrich. They ran a very credible campaign. They hit him hard on every front. Their ground game was excellent. I mean, they showed anybody who had any doubts out there that Mitt Romney can put it all together.
If I may, I wanted to simply offer a quick, I agree with Brian completely, it's spot on. I wanted to simply offer a fact check for my friend Sid. He was suggesting that President Obama somehow been very bad for children, and this campaign will be about children. Under Obama, the S-CHIP program, which provides children's health care, expanded by several million children. Under the Obama health care plan, you cannot deny children with pre-existing conditions from health care, and families can keep their children on their health care plans longer. Childhood nutrition programs were expanded. School lunch programs were expanded. The fact of the matter, irrespective of where you are politically, is the facts are just the opposite of what Sid said.
And is going to be be a huge part of the debate about haves, have-nots, and how do we advance everybody and lift everybody's vote. No question. No
Another
question.
big political story of the week, the new congressional districts and the switches that are made by the Republican congressman. This can be a little bit complicated, so we have a couple of maps that'll hopefully help explain it. Let's take a look right now at the current district's map. You can see Tom Rooney on the Treasure Coast, Allen West in Palm Beach, Broward County area along the coast, near the districts represented by Alcee Hastings and Ted Deutsch. Now, here are the districts on the map that looks like it will win final approval. The big difference, Tom Rooney moves out of his Treasure Coast district to a new district in the central part of the state that stretches to the west coast. Allen West moves north to a much more Republican-friendly district that includes northern Palm Beach County and much of the Treasure Coast. It is a significant move. Here's what Congressman Tom Rooney had to say about moving his family from Tequesta to the west coast of Florida.
For me, it was very difficult because I grew up in northern Palm Beach County and, went to high school there and bought our first house after we got out of the Army there. And so to move from there to a different part of the state because of redistricting was very, very difficult.
So who are the winners and losers in this?
Well, I think we're the losers because we had the old maps memorized. Now we got to start all back to school. Two quick observations. One, it's musical chairs. Connie Mack's running for the Senate, so Rooney's moving to Mack's seat, basically. West is moving up to take Rooney's seat, and Adam Hasner will drop out of the Senate race to take West's seat. So it's it's musical chairs. But the second point is, Congressman Rooney is well respected, well liked. He had a safe seat. Why would he move? I think that there must have been Republican pressure, sort of cigar smoke-filled rooms, move out, clear the way for West. West had his old seat. If his seat moved a little, his district was changed a little, but run in the seat that you've been in. Don't be an office shopper. Don't shop for a seat that's easier. This is not the British system where they assign people seats.
Brian, does Allen West have a, quote, safer seat? There was some question, had he stayed in the old one, about the political demographics there, and conversely, for Lois Frankel and Pat Murphy, what's it mean for them, the Democrats, who were going to run to him under the old map?
The new seat that was being carved out for Allen West in this new map that he would have originally been in was far more Democratic than they would have liked. So by moving him up to the Treasure Coast, essentially, and parts of Palm Beach County, he gets a much more Republican-leaning district. Tom Rooney, who I spoke with just about a month ago, really expected to have a Treasure Coast district. This is a very big surprise, I think, to Tom Rooney, that he winds up in this new district. It's not quite Connie Mack's district. Connie Mack's district is more in Lee County and further south on the southwest coast. But I think this is, he said it himself, he finds this very difficult to have to leave his hometown to run in this new agricultural seat.
Democratic opposition, though, what does it mean for everybody's saying, well, it could be a Frankel-West race under the old map. Of course, Pat Murphy raising a lot of money, too. What do you see in terms of the
There's actually
now?
Some speculation at this point that Patrick Murphy might actually run against West in the new West seat. There have been a couple of folks in Broward County who have, now we have an open seat there.
Yeah,
this creates a whole new monster when you have an open seat. So now there's a couple of Broward County folks down there who are talking about running in that seat, Democrats. I think in that district that Lois Frankel and Patrick Murphy were looking at to run against Allen West, we're going to suddenly see a very, very crowded Democratic and Republican primary.
I agree. And, typically you would say Lois Frankel's a known entity. She ran for Congress before. She's been a mayor. Patrick Murphy's a newcomer in the political landscape. Ordinarily, you would say they would push Murphy out of the way. But Murphy has come on strong. He's impressing people. He's raising money. He's got business support. Don't count him out. At this point, Lois Frankel's got to be sweating this. But it'll be interesting to see what the Democrats do to respond to this change. And it's a shame about West moving and a shame about that old district, because one thing that was always exciting about District 22, it was a third Republican, third Democrat, third Independent. It offered us a real nice bellwether, reasonably even split district.
Well, and we forgot to add into the mix that Adam Hasner, who has now decided that he's going to run in that seat, out of the Senate race, running now for Congress in the seat that Allen West is now abandoning in this very complicated jigsaw puzzle.
We'll give you a second to memorize the map, and we'll be back with more in a moment.
Now for our Crowley closer, but first our Watson winner.
Not a winner, but a loser today. The loser's Floridians. Here's why. In politics, no one makes an announcement just off the cuff. Timing is everything. This important redistricting and all the candidates switching seats, why was it released around the Florida primary? Trying to sneak it by us? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but we deserve more attention.
Well, and the other big story this week, which we sort of mentioned before the break, is Adam Hasner gets out of the U.S. Senate race. This now makes it a clear two-person race between Connie Mack and George Lemieux. And I think it's going to be a tough road for George Lemieux, but it's going to be a little easier with as a two-person race, and it's certainly something we're going to have to watch in the weeks and months ahead.
Start memorizing the new political landscape.
That's right.
It'll be a test next week from the professor.
Exactly.
That's right. All colored maps, too. Well,
thank you very much, Dr. Watson and Brian Crowley, for being with us today. We appreciate it. And thank you for your time on this Sunday morning on To The Point. If you'd like to send a comment about today's show, go to WPTV.com, click on the political link. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.